You know, DJ, the other day when Coach Lunney was in the middle of one of his press conferences, he referred to the real Coach Lunney. Well, we have the real Coach Lunney with him, Barry Lunney Sr. And, you know, I want to, first of all, get your reaction. How did you find out that this had happened? And what was your reaction when you found out?
Well, Mike, I think, actually Barry called. I think after he had got a text from Hunter and said, will you be available for a phone call, whatever time it was now, I'm not sure of the time frame, and pretty well suspected this is where it was headed. And so it was short, I guess it was Sunday evening or Saturday evening. I've lost track of time now, but it wasn't very long after the game Saturday.
What was your reaction? I mean, that's a heavy load.
Yeah, you know, it's very sad anyway, anytime anybody gets dismissed, because I think Hunter said it exceptionally right. You're not just affecting one person, you're affecting, I don't even know, you start adding up all the personnel, the support staff, families, there's countless people and lives that are affected. So it's a very difficult decision to make, and so you do start thinking about all those people. It's just a tough situation. You know, my first reaction was, that as a dad, number one, you're excited about the opportunity that your son has to university. It means a whole lot to him, but I understand that it's an awesome responsibility he has right now as well.
You know, he said that after a day or two, it hit him that while he'd been around coaches all of his life and he'd been a coach for a long time, he'd never been in a situation where he's going to have to make certain decisions. There are certain decisions he's going to have to make over the next 3 weeks he's never had to make before. And he said, well, what do I do? And he said, well, I've been around those other head coaches, and I grew up with a head coach. And he said it was like Thanksgiving and Christmas. We'd sit around and watch TV, and we didn't watch a game like normal people do. We'd be questioning the coach's decision. Why did he do this? Well, what do you think about that? And he said, that's kind of prepared me. I mean, is that basically your view?
Yeah, you can sit around in our household, and Daniel, my other son, had coached for a while, and you look at and try to, and not be critical necessarily, but try to figure, we all have a coaching tree that we come from, and mine goes back to my high school, Bill Stansel at Fort Smith Northside. It was tied into, he played for John Barnhill with my dad, John Lunney during the 40s, and so there's I come up through that, which is defense kicking game and certain things that I believe in. And so you watch television, you kind of look at the decisions that are made, and you kind of just look back and say, I'm not sure I'd have done that, or I would have done that. And we would talk about it a little bit and just try to make, what would you do in this situation? And sometimes I'd say, gosh, I'm glad I'm not having to make that decision right now.
I've been around two interim head coaches, and Barry was on a team with an interim guy. Yeah. Very different. They had most of the season. The critical decisions didn't have to be made that early. He got 3 weeks, and right off the bat, he's facing the number one team in the country, going on the road to Death Valley at night. It's like everything's lined up against him. How do you think he's going to handle all that?
Mike, I really think he's going to do well. A little bit difficult sitting in this chair today to do an interview with you with not coming from a little bit of prejudiced viewpoint. But Barry is and Joe Kines said it, I think I read that, Barry's always been ahead of his years a little bit. And he has a great awareness. The time he spent with me coaching, I got to watch his decision making, his game planning. After the first 48 hours where he didn't have any sleep for a while and we settled in, I watched some practices, we talked a little bit. I really feel he's in his element. I know he's going to have to make some decisions, but he's got a good feel for the game. He's got a good gut reaction. I mean, it's not going to be perfect. None of us are. There's always times where we look back and second guess, I should have done this. But I don't think he's going to make the decisions he's got to make. And I don't think, as we've talked about many times, you can't second guess yourself at that time. You've got to make the best decision with all the information available, and he has prepared himself over this that first week was critical, and getting acclimated to the kids and really trying to get their feet back on the ground again. And I've watched his game plan, I've talked to him about it, and he knows he said it, you can't make wholesale changes. It would be impossible at this time.
And I think a lot of people thought, okay, the first thing he's going to do is say, I'm not going to coach tight ends anymore. I'm going to let my grad assistant do it, and I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And he's going to change the offense, and he's going to do that. And he said, about all I can do is change attitudes.
Yeah.
And that's what he's been focused on. So can he do that this quickly?
Yeah, I think so. I think as the players, as he went through in '92 and all those players, there's almost this shock factor, the routine's changed. It's over. It's that we got a different leadership. We've lost our coach. And so there's this little bit of a slap in the face mentality to kind of get you to your senses. He has spent time with the leadership council, I think that's what they call it, of their team. He's called the guys aside after practices. He's visited with them. I think this has been really good for them just to kind of get their feet back on the ground. And, as we mentioned, the things he's going to have his hand in some things. There's some things I know he's asked that they do some different things. It's not drastic by him. And I think he said it, the naked eye, people in the stands are not going to notice it very much. But there's something about kids, there's a resiliency with them that sometimes is a lot easier or tougher than it is with the fans sitting in the stands or the coaches. They get over things a little quicker than the coaches do sometimes, and the people and the fans. And so I think there seems to be an attitude of excitement about the challenge that's ahead of them.
Well, by all accounts, he's won the players over. That's all we're hearing. As a matter of fact, even though they're not letting us talk to them, we're hearing that. What I'm interested in is all of a sudden you take over and you're the boss, and you weren't before, and you've got all these coaches that are suddenly answerable to you, and that could be a really weird situation. And especially when a lot of those guys know they may not be employed here beyond about 3 or 4 more weeks. So how hard is that to work with all those people and suddenly in a new role?
Well, and again, I go back to I think he addressed that really well. It is difficult. There's no doubt. These guys are thinking about their future, where their kids are going to be in school next year, if they're going to have a job, where they're going to land. So there's so many things that you can't, you just can't wipe that off the mat and just say they're not going to think about it. That's going to happen. But that's another reason why I think that you don't try to change a lot of things. You try to keep, as far as the structure, offense and defense, you let that go. You bring encouragement to them. And, one of the things that I've used to tell my coaches a lot this, and there's still a certain amount of professional pride in everything you do. Should be. And when another team looks at my film, as a coach, and they're seeing the players that I coach, they're getting an opinion. They're forming an opinion about what type of coach I am.
Yeah.
What do you see there? And so there's enough, I think, pride in everybody that does this business that they want to do their best. And so I think that's been a little difficult. He's going to coach tight ends. He's trying to, again, not shake their world up and give them a new leader. And so hopefully this is the right approach. He felt like it was. I would tend to agree that's probably, with the time remaining, I think that's really about the only thing he could do.
Well, none of us can know what will happen, but it's been pretty obvious with the way the fans have reacted, and then the fact that he had all those coaches and players come over the other day and support the team, that what was a fractured situation now at least looks like it's on the way to be healing, and you got to be happy about that. So
it means a lot to me. Everybody knows he's told our history with my dad playing here and watching him the years, some tough years early on in the SEC. That is something that we need in this state. We're just different than a lot of places. We are the school, and I've said this many times. Doesn't matter whether you go to Lake Village or Texarkana or Blytheville or Bentonville, and everywhere in between. Somebody has got somebody that went there and played there, or cheerleaded there, or Pom Squad, or the band, and there's a connection in this state that's pretty rare, really. And that healing, because of a former player, a quarterback being there, we've got, as many people have, we've gotten calls and text, and there just seem like a little bit more unity right now. in a bad situation. So we're hopeful that that will help us get through this time.
Yeah, let's hope a bad situation gets a little bit better over
Yeah.
the next 2 weeks, and we appreciate
Sure.
you coming in, and
My privilege.
we'll all be watching.
Thank
Hope
you,
it
sir.
works out well.
You bet.
Back to you, DJ.